はい、皆さん、こんばんは。こんばんは。はい。はい。皆さん、座ってください。はい。はい。はい。今日は俳句を勉強します。俳句。俳句わかりますか？ Do you understand 俳句？はい、what is this? 俳句。あ、yes.
Haiku is the way of writing the poems, describing one thing in a very beautiful way of writing in one single line.
One single line. Yes. はいはい。はい、yes. Very good. はい、ありがとうございます。はい。Initially, we will have a workshop. Please interact with Anuja sensei from online student also. Okay?
はい、先生。
はい、はい、ありがとう。
はい、先生。
はい、OK。OK。はい、じゃあ、Anuja先生、よろしくお願いします。
So this haiku contest is a little bit different from traditional haiku. A little bit. Right? The theme that we're working with. This time we're not going to use Kigo. You don't have to. If you want, you can try. But Ganesh Chaturthi is always at this time of the year. So talking about it is like Kigo. Right? Kigo is a seasonal word. So I'll talk a little bit about what haiku is, where it came from, very briefly. I don't want to bore you. This is not a history class. So we'll just talk a little bit about what haiku is. And then we'll see how we have to write haiku. What approach should we have to write an effective haiku? So the theme is how to turn our ideas into haiku, right? So that's where we always begin, having an idea. So we'll do a little brainstorm for that. We already know the theme, the topic is Ganesha. So with that in mind, we'll try to build haiku. So look for unique images, right? Things that your experience can lead you to find. What is personal? What can I say about Ganesha? What have I felt about Ganesha? What have I felt on this day when I say this prayer? When I do this with my family every year, and so on. And we just have to find the right words. That's probably the tough part, right? I believe it was Mark Twain who said the difference between a good word and the right word is the difference between lightning and a lightning bug. A lightning bug is a firefly. So what you want to do is rearrange afterwards. Find the words first. Don't try to make sentences. Don't try to look at grammar, nothing. Vocabulary first. Pick like 3 words. Then we start tying them together. What connection are we forming? Grammar's work is just to make things make sense, right? Order things to make sense. Before grammar, first we have idea. So let's work on idea and then we can do that. Don't write about feelings or stories. The picture will invoke the story. The picture will bring out the feeling. So sketch the image, draw the image with words. That is haiku. So that audience that we're always preoccupied with in English, no? You can get away with that. You can do away with it. Plain form is fine. And this is a huge rule. Generally speaking, haiku should not use onyomi. Onyomi compounds of kanji. You can use kanji, there's nothing wrong. But generally we use kunyomi. And the reason for this is because a long time ago in Japan, still they persist, there was a clean divide between Chinese literature and Japanese literature. And early Japanese literature was actually mostly written by women. And they used to mostly use, yes. Some of you may have heard of Murasaki Shikibu, the author of Tale of Genji, Genji Monogatari. Heian period, right? Exactly. So they used to use kana. And they used to use pure Japanese language in that. So there's that Japanese-ness that kunyomi brings out, that haiku follows in that. Exactly. Haiku follows that story of Japanese literature developing over time. So let's try to use kunyomi. Count the syllables. Elongations count as an individual syllable. Okay, so we have to be careful with that. Double consonant sound is a separate syllable. Please be careful about that. Particles like wa and o, you can tend to omit. Ga, wa, and o, unless you're doing something special with the grammar. As long as it's just marking the topic, marking the object, marking the subject, you can mostly omit it. So don't waste a precious syllable on these omittable particles. But meaningful particles cannot be omitted. Ni and de. If you remove them from the sentence, the grammar is amiss. So please be careful with that. With that, we'll move into actually doing it. But this is one of the submissions for the haiku that we had already asked for. This kind of sentence-like grammar, you don't need to use in haiku. You can simplify it, right? The image is very good, right? It invokes clear idea of who Ganesha is, what Ganesha does, what he represents for us. So we can just tweak the grammar part a little and bring it to something a little more relatable. I used an English word here because it sounded really good, but generally try to avoid it. So, zo no atama. A lot of times you don't need to use no particle when it's really obvious. So just zo atama is okay, right? You don't want that elongation to get missed in the syllable count. So I've trimmed it down. Hai. So, bariya tsubushi. You can keep in mind that verbs are very flexible in Japanese. You can convert them in all kinds of forms, right? You have, of course, all of the simple conjugations, plain past form and all that. You also trim them down, tsubusu, tsubushimasu. If you trim it to its stem, tsubushi, it often becomes a noun, right? That for which you give a purpose, tsubushi ni, for the purpose of destroying obstacles, destroying barriers. Bariya tsubushi ni umaretsuku. Of course, it's a kind of fancy verb, but it's still kunyomi. Umaretsuku is like to be born for a particular destiny, to arrive with a destiny in mind when you're born. So I just did a little tweaking there, but you get the idea. I thought we could do a little brainstorm here at this point, so some interaction would be good. My presentation is over here. After this, we go into the workshops. 好きじゃなかったらしいです。それは日だったんです。日のことで。
はい。日。はい。two words now.
I hope the online members can see.
You have some image about some words in Ganesha, and this word is what's the image? And maybe you can come to that some like adjective or some verbs.
These were a couple of submissions that we had for the contest, but I just wanted to point out that we can adjust this. So what can we do? From your side, you can give suggestions now based on what we learned today. So this is the first one. 毎分必要なのはあなたの愛だけ. So what's wrong with this? What can we do to fix it or make it more like haiku?
Those particles can be.
Yes, particles, that's one thing. Hi.
あなた。
あなたですね。はい。We wouldn't use that. It sounds a bit strange. Even in general speech, we won't include it. So it's a bit strange to include that in poetry for sure. Anything else?
先生、フンは鬼読みです。
あ、そうですね。ふん。The main part is, it's not quite become a poem yet. Prosaic, right? It sounds like a typical sentence. 文章になってますね。We don't usually write it as a sentence when we write haiku. So when we want to write, you can trim it down. あと、何が必要ですか? What is necessary? 俳句には What is necessary?
イメージ。
イメージですね。イメージがありませんね。So in such a poem, what we can do is we can add an image that relates to why this person wants the 神様の愛ですね、これは。It's about the God's love or blessings. So why does that person want it? What image does that person associate? So that's the kind of thing. We have to add some image. Otherwise, with just the feeling, it's incomplete. How about this one? カイラスでネズミを乗って火を見ぬ. I like this one a lot because of the images, and I think all of these are associated with Ganesha, right? So he was born at Mount Kailash, and of course, Nezumi, right? The mouse is his vahana, his vehicle. Noru. So he's riding the Vahana. And there is this myth which I came to know about very recently. I didn't know until now. That that the moon laughed at him. I mean, he fell back. So he was trying to climb, and then he fell back and clumsily, he tumbled down because of his big body. And the moon laughed at him. And so he cursed the moon, saying, no one will look at you. Right? No one will appreciate your beauty. So that's what this is. But it's a lot of things happening in one place. Haiku wa totemo chisai desu ne. There's not a lot of space to bring in too many images. So what you want to do in a case like this is trim down. Remove one image that you think you can do away with. And bring in something else that's missing. There's some connection missing here. When I read this, it didn't make any sense because I didn't know the myth for one thing. And also that the tumbling and falling and the moon laughing, all of that is missing. So it's a little unclear. So you can trim it down, remove one image, and add something to give it a little clarity.
We'll go for the haiku contest, which already asked to that submitted about Ganesha haiku. Next. 曇り空、傘ないガネサを走った。はい。You can understand the image of. はい。馬車になる心ともなり最初神。馬車はインストゥルメントですか？歌。OK。馬車は歌だそうです。歌のことね。で、最初神。はい、ありがとうございます。ね、戦う神、代わりのぼせ、闇を取る。はい。これは different type of image of the Ganesha。これも私知りません。It is new for me。はい。This is 22 haiku it came, but everybody, they have an image of the haiku is very good. And many of the different type of Ganesha, they explain. Some Ganesha's story is new for me. はい。During the visit time, they checked all the haiku and given some result. はい。ありがとうございます。Judges, outside judges, Mr. Kenji Miyata, Deputy Consul General, Consul General of Japan, Chennai. はい。ありがとう。宮田さん、ありがとうございます。And also, Consul General of Japan, Miss Mami Teraokaさん also given that judges ありがとうございます and the Japan Foundation 村上先生、also given the judges ありがとうございます Mr. Kailash Trehan Director of the ADECA India ありがとうございますひろこ福田さん also ADECA India はいgiven that the judges ありがとうございます。Our 先生 we also judges for that、今アナウンスメントをします。はい。アラグラジャさん。はい。土、ガネーシャ、地球に優しい秋悟り。It's like environment. Think about environment. That is the、judges point. ありがとうございます。ネズミのり、手にロータスと牙一本。Very simple and good. 5、7、5だね。Very simple。しちゃいます。はい、please come。で、俳句を読んで、why you read this 俳句 Can you explain that?
The meaning of this.
Yes, you can come this side. This camera is here. はい。
I just wanted to make the god sound more cute because since he's a child, I just wrote this.
Okay, then can you read this 俳句 also?
山みたい可愛い子供あがめよ。
はい。はい。おめでとうございます。ありがとうございます。はい。クリティカさん、クリティカ先生の土星神、帰り支度の日暮れ海。This, after seeing this one, all the judges think about that, have an image of the, this beach. To go to beach and this Ganesha is sending, right? That image everybody have, I guess. That's why it is a good point. はい。はい、おめでとうございます。はい。はい、ロヒットさんがいらっしゃいますので、どうぞ。はい。
長月にガネーシャ祭り、月避ける。This is to do with the tale of Ganesha cursing the moon god because he stumbles on a rock. And the moon god laughs at him. So, since he's cursed the moon god, during the Ganesh Chaturthi, the 10 days, nobody looks at the moon.
はい、This is the first haiku for Ganesha. Hope everybody 楽しんでいただけたら嬉しいです。では今日は俳句のイベント今日はここまでにしましょう。はい、皆さんまた次のイベントでお会いしましょう。ありがとうございました。